Okay, so you should be on lesson 1.1. What we're going to be talking about today is absolute value equations. Okay, we'll get to inequalities tomorrow. So if you want to write your notes in a notebook, you should have that out in front of you. If you're going to take your notes in your calculator, that's cool too. It's up to you. Are you ready? Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so does everybody remember how to turn pages on their calculator? How? Control over. Good. So control over. All right, so absolute value, basic definition, is the distance from 0 on a number line. Is the absolute value ever negative? No. What's the absolute value of 5? What's the absolute value of negative 5? 5. So does the absolute value ever wind up being negative? No, but I know I can take the absolute value of a negative and it becomes positive. Any problems with that? Okay, so we have to learn how to use this kind of to our advantage here, okay? So what winds up happening when we have absolute value equations is we wind up actually taking that absolute value equation and making it into two equations. We take it and we set it equal to a positive, or exactly what it was, but without the symbols. And then we take and we set it equal to a negative as well, because we know when we take the absolute value of a negative, it winds up being positive again. Make sense? Okay, so absolute value equation, what do? We break it up into how many equations? One set equal to a, and the other to a? Good. So now I've already done that here for you, right? We have 2y minus 4 equals 12, and 2y minus 4 equals negative 12. Notice what we did not change. Yeah, that 2y minus 4. You never change anything inside the absolute value brackets. I'm going to say that again. Very important. Never change anything inside those brackets. Do you ever change anything inside the brackets? Are you sure? Be positive. All right. Never change anything inside there. It's only what it's equal to. Do you make positive and negative? Okay? Okay, so now we have to go through and we have to solve these out. So what's my first step? Add 4 both sides, right? Okay. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. My first equation is going to become 2y equals 16. My second equation is going to become 2y equals 8. Thank you. We'll wait for everybody to catch up. Okay, what's my next step? Divide by 2. Good. So what is this one? 8. Perfect. And over here? Good. So am I done? How many of you read the directions? Yeah, you have to check. Am I going to check by hand? No, not when we have the tool that we have. Okay, we're going to use the calculator to check. So who remembers how to insert a page? Control Doc or Control I, either way. So what I want you to do is I want you to insert a calculator page for me, please. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to check these. So we're going to use the store function. Do you guys remember how to store things? All right, so we're going to store our first solution first, which was 8. So you're going to select Y, Control, Math Template. So your Math Template key is the one right next to the 9. Okay. 8, Enter. And then we're going to type in the original equation. The original, before we did anything to it. That's your absolute value equation. Anybody know where to find the absolute value symbol? Yep, in that template, right? So we're going to select that. We're going to put in exactly what we started with. 2y minus 4, absolute value of 2y minus 4, equals 12. And we're going to hit Enter. Notice what it says. What does that mean? Yeah, it checks. Okay? Are we just going to check one? No, we've got to check them both, right? Okay, so we're going to store y as negative 4. Y, Control Math Template, negative 4, Enter. If I'm going too fast, you got to tell me. Do I need to retype that whole mess? No, I can go up and borrow it, right? So all you're going to do is you're going to hit up on your nav pad until you get to the equation itself. You're going to hit enter to bring it down. And you're going to hit enter again to find out if it works. Does it? Yeah. All right, so when we have more than one solution, how do we write that? We're not going to use or, because it's actually and in this case, because they both work. Yep. Yes. What kind of brackets? Squiggly ones. I call them curly. Mr. Snell calls them braces. We argue about this. I always win. So we're going to use, he's going to hear this video. We're going to use those curly brackets, okay? So the way you're going to write your solution in curly brackets, -4, 8. Okay, that's how your solution should be written. So it's very, 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 very important that you always check absolute value equations solutions. Notice I said the word equations. Did I say inequalities? No, okay? And that's going to be important when we get to that inequality section. You always have to remember to check those solutions for the equations. How do we do? Easy, hard? Good, because this is the easiest lesson you're going to get all year. Ready? Okay, let's go to the next page. So we've got the absolute value of 3x plus 2 equals 7. You think you can handle this one on your own? Good. Give it a shot. Set up your two equations. Check both solutions, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so a lot of you are making the same mistake. When we go from the one absolute value equation to the two equations, those absolute value signs disappear. Okay, they're not there anymore. So you should have 3x plus 2 equals 7. Notice it's just an equation. It's not an absolute value equation. And then your other equation is 3x plus 2 equals -7. Did I change that plus 2 to a -2? Are you positive? Yes. Okay. So I went to two equations. Are we okay with that? Okay. So when we go here, we should have 3x equals 5 and x equals 5/3. Are we all right with that? I leave it as 5/3. I like 5/3. I like fractions. They're my friend. Good. Okay. Other side, subtract 2, we get -9. Divide by 3, we get, good. So we have two possible solutions, right? Did they both check? I have a question. What did you check it into? Yeah, this right here. That's what you check it into. Did you take and change that at all? No. So whatever was written down before you touched it, the first thing you look at, that's what you're checking into. Okay? You don't change anything about this when you're checking your solutions in. Understood? Yes, dear?
I understand what you have to do, but what happens if you check it with the -7 equation while it's in?
It won't work. If we think about it, she's saying if I take this and check it here, I think this is what you're saying. That won't work. I'll tell you why. Is an absolute value ever equal to a negative? So it's automatically going to tell you false. Okay, so you don't do that. You don't change anything about this. You're always checking back into the original. Got it? Do they both work? Okay, so my solution set is -3, 5/3. Generally speaking, you put the smaller one first. Okay. Any questions there? Are we okay? Okay, nobody's crying yet, so we're doing all right. Okay, can I move on? Moving on. Next page, please. All right, so now we're going to get into some multi-step absolute value equations. When we're dealing with multi-step, it means that we're going to have more than just that absolute value on the one side of the equation. There's going to be other stuff jumbled in there with it, okay? So your first step when you're dealing with these multi-step is to isolate the absolute value. What's isolate mean? Get it by itself, okay? So we want to get that absolute value piece all by itself. And what we're going to do in order to get it by itself is we're going to use order of operations, but backwards, okay? So instead of PEMDAS, it's SADMEP. Yes, okay. All right, so let's take a peek at what I'm looking at. It's uglier, right? Left-hand side is uglier. What's there that I don't like? I don't like the 3. What else don't I like? My -5. Because I want to get this piece right here. That. I want to get it by itself. And I can't do anything else until it's by itself. Okay? So what's the first thing I'm going to move? Awesome. I'm going to move that -5 first because remember, order of operations backwards, it's SADMAP. S stands for subtraction. So here's subtraction. How do I undo subtraction? Geniuses. Okay, so we're going to add that over. So we get 3 times the absolute value of 4w minus 1 equals 15. Looking good. Is it isolated yet? No. I got another step. What do I want to get rid of now? Got to get rid of that 3, so divide by 3. Thank you, whoever just said divide. So now I'm left with absolute value of 4w minus 1 equals 5. Is it isolated? Does it look like what we're used to dealing with now? So what do I do from here? Make 2 equations. Just yell it out, honey. Make 2 equations. One set equal to A and one set equal to A. Geniuses. Okay, so you should be able to finish it from here. So go ahead. Make sure you check both solutions. Okay, so you should have 2 equations set up, right? You should have 4w minus 1 equals 5 and 4w minus 1 equals -5. You have to have a positive and a negative. First step, add 1. So we get 4w equals 6 and 4w equals -4. Now what? Divide by 4. So w equals 3 halves, right? 6/4 reduces to 3 halves. And w equals -1. What do I check into? Am I drilling that into your brains yet? Right there. Right? That's what you're checking into. Do they both work? They do. Okay, so -1 and 3 halves are your solutions. We're feeling okay? You ready to try another one? You don't really have a choice. We're going to try another one anyways. Okay, next page. So now what we're going to talk about is something called extraneous solutions. Okay, an extraneous solution is when you have a solution, then when you check it back into the calculator, it says false. What do we do with false solutions? Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you in a minute. So what do we do with solutions that don't work? What? Negate's not the right word. Give me a different word. It starts with an R. Nope. No, what? No. R. I don't like it. I don't want to use it. Say it again. Reject. Who are you? Patrick. Nice job. Okay, so when a solution doesn't work, we have to, say it again, reject it. We get rid of it. We cross it out. It doesn't stay in our solution set, right? Okay, so the fancy word for rejecting it is it's called an extraneous solution. And that's the way you will see it written, so you need to know the word. What's the word? And what's it mean? Reject it. Doesn't work. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at the next page. Now this one's a little bit uglier, isn't it? What's different about this one than the ones we've been working with? Yeah, there's 2 x's, right? We have 2 variables here, one on either side of the equation. One's inside the absolute value and one isn't. Really isn't any different, okay? Is my absolute value isolated? Yeah, it's by itself. So from this step, I'm going to go to setting up 2 equations, right? One's going to be set equal to A, and one's going to be set equal to A. Right, so I have to set one to the positive, one to the, one to the positive, one to the negative. Okay, so here's what that looks like. Are you ready? Pay close attention. We've got 2x plus 5 equals 3x plus 4. There's my positive. Did I change anything? No, all I did was get rid of those absolute value signs, right? Okay, my negative, here's what happens. 2x plus 5, I need to make everything here, I got to change those signs. So instead of 3x, it's, instead of positive 4, it's, so negative 3x minus 4. You got to change all those signs. Okay, so your positive looks exactly like it did, but without the absolute value symbol. Your negative, you change all of the signs. Did I change the signs on the absolute value side? Because do I ever change anything in there? No. So could you solve this? Good, do it. Solve and check them. I'll give you some time. Okay, so we need to solve these out, right? For the sake of time, I'm going to move somewhat quickly. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, and I get 5 equals x plus 4. Subtract the 4, and I get x equals 1. Agreed?
Yes.
Won't be putting anything away. We're not done. I'm going to add that 3x. Mainly I add the 3x because I don't necessarily want to deal with the negative, so I make it positive by adding it over. 5x plus 5 equals negative 4. Now what? Subtract the 5. 5x equals negative 9. Good, and? Good. Negative 9/5. Does it matter if it looks like this, this, or this? Does it matter? No, why not? They're all negative, right? What's a negative divided by a positive? A negative. What's a positive divided by a negative? Doesn't make a difference where you put that negative sign. Okay, don't let that mess you up. Okay, so I get 1 and negative 9/5. Do they both check? No. Which one doesn't check? Yeah, it says false when you check this one, right? So we have to reject it. We cross it right out, it's rejected. Does not check. Our only solution is 1. No, the cradle has to be on in order for me to send you stuff. But it's all on your calculator. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. Ready? All right, so I want you guys to try the next one on your own. Go ahead, give it a shot.